Thanks for joining the Thursday edition of Journalists Hangout. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. Today on the program, federal government organized labor meets, fixed October 15 to conclude minimum wage talks. Governor Kayode Fayemi demands scrapping of Nigerian Senate. And later on the show, Masari demands coordination from APC leadership, says loss of some states in the last election was avoidable. I'll be hanging out with Wale Adedayo, Tony Waji, and Cyril Abako. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. In a bid to resolve the logjam in the implementation of the new minimum wage in Nigeria, a make-or-mar parley between the federal government and the organized labor has been fixed for the 15th of October. After holding meetings with labor unions in Abuja on Wednesday, the Minister of Labor and Employment, Chris Ngige, said the high-level meeting will pave way for equitable implementation of the consequential adjustment of the new minimum wage. Maybe this ghost of minimum wage will finally be laid to rest. Cyril, what is the bone of contention? Some people I gathered earlier that between levels 1 to 7 has been resolved, and federal governments in some ministries, they've started paying. They've implemented that, and some people collected, as a last month's salary, collected the new minimum wage largesse. But I think, what is the bone of contention for other consequential adjustments?
The consequential adjustment, I think it's well over 66%, but Labour, from the report we have, Labour has, in course of the negotiations, they've brought it down, they've reviewed it downwards up until I think it came to 29%. And now, federal government says if they will implement 29%.
29% at what level?
From I think from 7 upwards. No, from 8 upwards.
Okay.
29%. Consequential adjustment means that if what the percentage you add from 18 to 30, you also have to apply that same percentage, that's 60%, whatever percentage to all salaries being earned by people on higher levels. Yeah. Government is saying that it will be too much for them to bear. The burden will be too much for them to bear. And so, government and labor have been talking. So much that I think after 5 reviews, it came to 29%. Government is still saying that what they can afford is 11% consequential adjustment. What I personally foresee is the fact that somehow this casus belli we may not escape it. Come 15th of October, it will take a miracle for both parties to come to an agreement. It is either they will fix another day for discussions, or inevitably the strike will come. Because, and this is very clearly because it is easy to perceive and to see that for as much as it will pay the minister and those on his side to delay this issue and continue to see how they can keep the matter in abeyance, they have done it. They've not held back. They've done it. But Labour has also, the meeting they held yesterday, the TUs and the NLC met with the minister, and then you also had, I think, the senior civil servant that also met with him later. October 15 will come. But the fact is that there is really nothing new that has not been discussed in the past that's been brought on the table on October 15. And I'm really waiting to see how something is going to happen. And within hours, they are going to sit and say, okay, we've agreed for certain percentage to be the implication for constitutional adjustment. I think that everything that needs to have been sorted out should have been done even before the law was passed and they signed to say that the minimum was going to be 30. The fact is that this is simply a corollary. That we didn't see it coming cannot be true. And between when the law was passed, it's almost a year ago now, and now some states are not even implementing 30%, the 30,000 minimum wage. That's not even the issue. The federal government that should set the example, also dragging his feet, is a bigger problem. So I think that let October 15 come, and let's see what comes. But I have very, very little hope.
As at the last time, the federal government wage bill on 18,000 was 160 billion naira monthly or thereabouts. Now, after the implementation of this minimum wage, the federal government is looking at 500 billion naira every other month to cover that to pay this minimum wage. What do you make of this? And looking at the percentage of civil servants across the country and the fraction to the larger country?
There are two aspects to it. Basically, you are talking about the federal government, but you've not even said anything about the states. There are some states right now that cannot even, till tomorrow, pay regularly the 18,000 naira minimum wage. Yet, this one is there. Whether they like it or not, they have to follow once the other starts implementing the 30,000 minimum wage. But the first part I mentioned earlier, talking about the federal government, it's no big deal in reality, you understand? But it's not just a question of a suggestion by Fahimi, the other issue we want to discuss later. But the reality is that there are some other expenses being done by the federal government which they could cut down upon seriously to gain funds for the federal coffers. You discover that 99.9% of those who are in the National Assembly, they are people who ordinarily should be able to take care of themselves. Some things just need to change in this country if things are going to get better. But the tragedy is that we keep on hoping. We say we are hoping, we are praying, as if it is prayer that will change things for us, as if it is not we ourselves that will change things. I'm not bothered by that humongous amount. There's more than enough to pay if certain things are cut down upon. Because if these are really workers you are talking about and they are doing their jobs and so on, you understand? A worker deserves his wages. That's just it. But there are things that we need to cut down on in the long run. You were mentioning a year ago that the thing became a law. There's nothing bad if we stress such things. Okay, within the next 1 year or so, the House of Representatives, we're going to cut whatever they are spending down, make it a pastime legislature. The Senate will be off completely. You can calculate the amount of money you save on that. Then go back to the ministries again. I think there was a matter that Lagos took the federal government to court for, maybe during National Tinubu's time or maybe Fashola's time. Some cases were won by Lagos. Substantially, the federal government does not have land anywhere. But you have a federal minister of agric, you have a federal minister of housing. There's even talk about federal water and whatever. A lot of things that states could do on their own. You have duplication of all these things at the federal level, and it's consuming a lot of money. Why not overhaul all these ministries, make them one?
As recommended by Mr. Steve Oroson.
So that explains, even long before Oroson, the thing is that you don't have land, you have Ministry of Housing. You still have to go and negotiate with the. But meanwhile, primarily it is the states that should be doing such things. There was even a time that the federal government was involved in things that local governments should do. And they have staff there, you have budget for all those things that should normally be done by other states or local government. To me, it's just a waste. They should look at the whole gamut of what they are doing there in Abuja. It will save a lot of money and then allow funds to go into places that funds should go to. But right now, there is a lot of waste going on in that place. The money is not much, sincerely speaking. Because converting to dollars now, how much is 30,000 naira? Convert it to dollars. And meanwhile, convert the cost of living today. Just calculate based on that, the 30,000 naira. It's nothing to me. The average civil servant who doesn't have extra means of income, but that person is sunk automatically. The marriage will break down, the children may not be able to go to school and things like that. You must have an extra source of income, sort of. So basically, it's not something that is much. But what the federal government needs to do is to cut down not just on waste, but on duplication of services. A lot of things are being done by the states, by the local government. And that is why I laugh when some people kick against the question of restructuring. Because some of these things, you cannot do it outside a change in the constitution. If you don't change the constitution, all these things cannot happen. So until that is done, we are still going back to that. This same problem, because I agree with him, it's not likely there will be a resolution on the 15th they're talking about. It is systemic. We need to change that system because the current system we are running cannot work.
Tony, after the battle at the federal level, I'm sure most of these states will now face their state chapters of NLC because, yes, some states might have announced that they'll pay it and everything, but the reality on ground, when you check the figures, when you check what is on ground, if somebody is struggling to pay 18,000 naira, and you're now saying the other person should now pay 30,000 naira, and some governors will want to retrench because of political expediency and some other things. But in reality, some states might not be able to pay this 30,000 naira.
See, I don't believe that some states cannot pay. If they are sincere to themselves, the governors or chief executive officers of the states, they have enough in that state to generate revenue.
Some states don't.
They have.
Some states,
See,
their IGR is almost...
The issue is this.
It's not there at all.
Because when we're talking about...
They might not have been creative enough.
No, we are talking about workers every day. When it comes to the executive of this, the executive, it doesn't affect them. When we talk about salary adjustment and all that, I've never heard that they cut down their own to the barest minimum. They're just okay with it. So we're talking about workers here all the time. For me, the issue is this, that the state over time, suddenly, let me say, become lazy. And then because everybody's now looking ahead to the center to go and take every bit of cake. Nobody wants to look at what they have in their own state. In their own state. When you say it's not possible, I know it is possible. All we need to do is just look at our constitution again. All those mineral deposits in this state, we can get... Okay, assuming we just... Okay, we can go... No, that's why I said we look at the document again.
Restructuring, that's what they're still talking about.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. We look at the constitution again.
No, we're talking about short-time
when they say something like that, cutting down on waste. This is still the same state. You have a governor having over 100 special assistants. A job designated for one man, 20 people were doing it. That's multiplication of functions. This is a stage where a governor moves with over 20 vehicles in a convoy. We have ghost workers everywhere. We talk about it every time. So until we start cutting out, we know the issues. We know the solution to this problem. We can. They go to Abuja, they squander this money. And then you tell me you can't pay 18,000. As I said, really, they're still planning to pay 18,000. But I know they are just pretending. They can pay 30, they can even pay 40. If they are sincere in this country, if they are, this is a state where you have security vote for governors. Nobody's even talking about, a governor cannot tell you how much his security vote is. These are issues we should look at. If we really want to pity the workers who go out every day to make this thing possible. They generate these resources for the state. So why can't they get paid? 60,000 for me. What is 30,000 for crying out loud?
Okay, Cyril, I'm shocked that a state like Lagos State has not even spoken about minimum wage. That's with the resources on ground and everything, and the civil service. And as at now, I thought if Ikayode Fayemi can announce that I'm going to pay the minimum wage, if Nasir El-Rufai is talking about paying the minimum wage, Sanwo-Olu has been quiet about that.
No, the question is this. I think that if I am to do a summation of what Wale and Tony have said, it is like coming to this to the point of saying, if you think you can pay the minimum wage, you can pay it. If you think you cannot also pay the minimum wage, you cannot pay it as well. But the fact remains that we cannot solve, this problem has been on for a while, We've always had problems with minimum. In fact, since Obasanjo's time, they always, the threat of strike and so on, then they agree and they announce and implement. What I want to draw attention to is the fact that it is the same problem, but it cannot be solved by the same methods of the past. We must think of creative ways of dealing with it. For instance, how do I mean? Last year, when the report was submitted, that is assuming we wanted to even be reactionary, so to say. So when the document came, I didn't see anybody say how we want to pay the new minimum wage. That is what a good economic manager does, to sit back and to understand and look, there are implications for this thing. We're borrowing to fund the budget. This is what we get from taxes. So how do we rethink with our economic policy plan to accommodate?
I think the federal government did that.
I didn't see it. You see? So even if the federal government did that, how about the states? Even private companies, how are we going to internalize and implement this new minimum wage? That's something you do before it even comes on stream. But even if they did, why are they not paying it now? So there are more questions than answers. The rich states, and the states that even if they may not have the semblance of deep pockets, but are able to sit down to think creatively as well,
Creatively,
creative economic thinking, they can sit back and say, paying the new minimum wage pays us in so and so ways. If we pay the wage, we gain X, Y, Z. If we don't pay the wage, we don't gain X, Y, Z. And so, in order for us to be to gain what is possible and what's good for us, we're going to implement, and this is how we are going to do it. AY, even if you didn't do it immediately, but as far as you are in touch with the workers and there is a genuine will
you understand
to implement, and and you're liaising with them, you should be able to pay. Nobody is blind to the reality of the political situation that we're in the country today. In the issue that we're going to come to, people who won't be any minimum wage are saying that the party is not doing them good enough. You saw that or that the number 3 issue. When they get up, I mean, there will not be any minimum wage.
Okay.
But the issue is that do we even think that it is possible to pay the minimum wage? That's the big question.
All right. I have my first caller. Chris is calling us from Lagos. Thank you for joining us, Chris.
Hello, good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Yeah, I'm very happy with the job people are doing. May God bless all of you.
Thank you.
I want to say something. Like Mr. Ayodele Ozubaki, the anchor man there. You know, sometimes when he's talking about this minimum wage, so it looks as if he's pitying the federal government, saying the wages will be increased to 500 billion. But he doesn't think about the workers that are suffering. Like the other gentleman said there, the governors, the aids they are having, the convoys of the convoy they are using, they don't cut down all those things. But why are we now talking about 18,000 and you are saying that the wage is very high for the government to pay? Honestly, the government is not sincere with us. It's not sincere with us. 30,000 naira, where will it take somebody to? Where will it take somebody to? Please, gentlemen, you both should please help us. Help us, because the job people are doing there is very nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. Chris calling from Lagos State. And Wale, if we're going to continue this way,
you're not sure we're going to continue.
because there are some states, maybe Chris just misunderstood what I was trying to say. That I had to sit down with one particular governor one day, and it was like, okay, you guys are always talking about security vote, Abi? Look at it. Excesses of government, this is what we pay this person to do. At the end of the day, this state struggles to make close to 100 million naira IGR. I'm sure you've been in government before.
No, wait. Like he rightly pointed out, you see, the challenge we have in Nigeria is that it's not that of lazy politicians or lazy leaders. I'll call it, if you're going to be greedy, you need to put in some efforts into it. But there are those who want to be greedy, but they don't even want to put any effort. I do not believe there is any state in Nigeria that is not well endowed by God to generate resources that will turn into revenue to take care of his people. Not one single state.
They are endowed. They don't have access to the endowments.
No.
If you have bitumen in those states, the government can sell bitumen out.
Listen. There are ways of getting these things. These states that we're in right now, Lagos State, when Alhaji Lateef Jakonde was going to start LTV, the federal government was very, very unfriendly towards the state. It was not an express direct approval, even bringing the equipment in and things like that. There was loads and loads of challenges. But the old man used his brain and used his head to get what he wanted, and he did it straight away. So the thing is, a lot of them, if it is your private business, if it is your children you want to take care of, and your children have problems, you want to tell them because it is raining, your children will not eat. You want to tell them because there are armed robbers out there, or somebody's out there, your wife and your children, you're not going to take care of them. To me, they are not using their brain, with due respect. That's just it. There is no state in Nigeria that cannot take care of its people. None. Not one. Yes, I agree with restructuring. We need to change the constitution. We need to restructure the country. But in the interim, once you have accepted that leadership position, nobody pushed you there, nobody forced you there. This is an elective environment. You agreed to go there. Why did you push yourself forward?
Leave this.
You have no business there in the first place.
Absolutely, you promise people.
Yeah.
Exactly. You make promises.
Yeah.
If you cannot fulfill your promises, for God's sake, resign and get out of the place.
Yes.
There is no state in Nigeria that cannot feed its people. Even forget about minimum wage. We have fantastic weather. You know the number of people who died in Europe and other places the other time when they were having heat waves and so on. Some of them have this water, whatever. We don't have that in Nigeria, for God's sake. The land is fertile. Everything is okay. Yet we are talking about import this, import that, blah, 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 blah. You made a lot of promises before you were elected a governor. You not get there now, you are making excuses. Does it mean you didn't study the situation well before you got on the seat?
Like that, Nigeria.
I think, I don't know how to describe them. I just don't want to be uttering bad words.
Yeah, so just like Wally and Cyril has said, the issue is about sincerity of our governors. I think it's high time they stop going to Abuja. I don't know how we're going to do it, but it's because we talked about this thing. I can't remember how long. Yeah, we talked about this over the.
Can you survive without that largesse?
And so when they even bring this Abuja largesse, they don't channel it in the right direction. So pay salary is always an issue. But we can do other things. We can't pay salary. They don't take salary payment seriously. That's just the truth. They don't take it seriously. Can you imagine how can you pay some people half salary and then you expect them to be given the best? I mean, it happened over time. If they take it serious, I don't see why we should be talking about this. They take other things serious, but they don't take this one serious. To generate money for the state is not hard. Okay. Truly.
First, it was Senegal, which abolished the Senate of its National Assembly in September 2012. Just on Tuesday, Italy passed a law slashing the number of its senators from 315 to 200. That's 115 of the lawmakers will be out. And members of the lower house from 630 to 400. All in bids to cut costs. Could Nigeria be the next in line as calls for the reduction in the number of lawmakers mounts? Governor of Ekiti State and chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, John Kaide, wants the Senate scrapped to reduce the size of government. He said the House of Representatives is what the country needs because, in his words, that is what is representing Nigeria. That is what it represents, that House of Representatives, that Senate with 109 members right now, 3 senators per state. He was saying that how can a small state like Ekiti, 3 senators, and Lagos, 3 senators. But it's more like it in the House of Representatives, very close to the people and everything. First of all, Cyril, let's check the costs. The 1999 Constitution defines it and actually stated that we have bicameral legislature, and that's the Senate and the House of Representatives. Now, if we are going to go this way, how effective will it be? Let's say 109 senators, that Senate should be scrapped.
Well, it is only lately, perhaps this week, I think, that I began to give serious thought to the question of unicameralism. I always feared that Nigeria needs bicameralism for one simple fact. You see, in 2007, when Obasanjo was gunning for the 3rd term, if it was just one house, he would have got it. Let's not pretend about it. That's one. Number 2 is the fact that, you know, when Governor Fahimi said Leto Lekiti has 3, I respect his candor. It's his own state. And yet he says, look, my own little state has 3 senators.
Now, what are we doing with?
But I think for the House of Reps, it's not equal. It's based on that, and that's where the problem is. Because if we scrap the Senate, I will personally advocate that every state must have equal representation. Because you see, these matters border on the national question. It is not just enough that we look at the problem of cost, okay, and then we bring a solution that is detached from the wider and broader issue of the national question in Nigeria. AY, there's no need to pretend about it. The issue of land mass, the issue of population, the issue of resources, the issue of who gets what in Nigeria, it should be based on land mass, population. What should it really be based on? If we are going to have a unicameral system, one House National Assembly, that will not give everybody fair and equal representation, I don't think it's going to work in the first place. I am for cutting down the numbers, but no single one state or geopolitical zone should have an overwhelming majority over others. That will not work. It will not work at all. So we need to say that I agree, we need to cut the numbers. But when we cut the numbers, because of course, I mean, you can't make good decisions when you have a crowd. It doesn't work. That's why you have so many committees, like you said, duplicities. They go after one debate and the other, they come back again. It doesn't work. It doesn't help us. The cost is also overbearing. Look at in the 2020 budget already. How much did they give to them? 125 billion or so for to do what with it? When Nigerians are dying, okay?
469 lawmakers. So
that is clearly what we cannot sustain. But we must tread carefully. Cut the numbers down, I agree. But we need to actually tell ourselves, how do we now want to proceed when we say we want to cut? There must be a clear, every state must have equally. Okay. That's my own personal submission.
You're correct. Okay. Wale, what do you make of this submission by Kai Define?
I think the governor, with due respect, is mixing apples with oranges. It's not a question, with his position and given his background, where he is coming from. Because I see him as one of the activists who really fought during the military regime. He did a lot in the UK, even before coming back to Nigeria. It's not just a question of cutting down on the Senate. You want to cut down for what purpose? What do you intend to achieve? What Fayemi should be talking about is restructuring, given his position now, and where he is chairman of Governors Forum. Awolowo said, all these things we are saying, they can't pay this, they can't pay that. It's symptoms. You are treating the symptoms, you are not treating the disease. There's a disease. The country itself is not properly structured. What the military gave to us is wrong. We should go back to where we were, and things were functioning properly. Western region was paying more than the other region in terms of wages at that time. We should go back to the fundamentals.
They pioneered.
You are just talking about the symptoms. You are not talking about the disease. There's a disease here, and you are not treating the disease. By the time you treat one symptom, another one will come up tomorrow, and you need to treat that one. Go attack the disease itself. That is what the likes of Fayemi should be talking about. It's not just a question of cutting down. If you cut down on Senate, whatever, so they will still be earning the same fabulous salary.
Hold your thought there. Let me quickly go on this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalists Hangout. We'll be right back after this breather. Stay with us. If you're just joining us, this is Journalists Hangout. We're reaching you live from Lagos, Nigeria, television continental here, and we are looking at the proposal of a unicameral legislature. And we had it in Senegal, and the Italian government is just proposing that now. And Tony, what do you make of this proposal?
The proposal will not even fly in the first place, because these are you cannot the National Assembly as constituted today are the beneficiaries, and for you to even go that route, you still have to meet them. Then tell me how it's going to work.
To amend it.
And yeah, Kayode has spoken. He's a man I respect so much. A lot of people have said that in the past. It's expected. It's the implementation that we're looking at. How possible?
It's not just the idea.
Possible? Yeah, it's not possible, except a people's mass action, which I don't see it happening. It's not possible for you to say, okay, where people are eating from, we want to scatter it. How are you going to do it? Let's restructure it. Let's see. You just want one, and then you think the Senate, and you specifically mentioned the Senate, that we don't want the Senate. So, and you're going to bring this law for them to amend. Because you're going back.
I have.
No, the issue is this. By law, they make laws for the country, and you're talking about a serious constitutional amendment here, where you're going to take them out. You're not telling them that we want to take you people out. How are we going to go out? Who is going to do it? I'm looking at the practicality of it. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to be educated. I have a caller from Oyo State. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Ogulo from Ibadan. I'm happy. Can I go ahead?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, this is Ogulo from Ibadan. I'm lucky. Just please, let me just make it brief this way. That it's not easy to call in. It has been very tight to call in. Now, like you are saying, when these governors are saying that they cannot pay this minimum wage, please, who force them to take that seat? Like you've been saying. Now, if somebody cannot pay that minimum wage, they should leave. I'm running a private business. I have my private business in Ibadan. Now, I can tell you, if I cannot manage the office, why are you the head? If the government feel they cannot pay that minimum wage, they are lobbying for this seat. We voted them. They now got to the seat. They now find it difficult to pay the money. They think how they can manage the state. If the state belongs to you, it's important. You know how you manage. Don't just look at the seat as that good. What?
Thank you, Ogulawa.
Okay, Tony, are you okay. I was going to say this. There is no need to pretend about the issue. This is the APC government that, if you look at the manifesto, the first provision, the very first provision was to take steps to develop powers and so on. This whole restructuring stuff was the first provision that they made. Now, we may not approach it in the traditional sense of let's develop power from tomorrow. Let's put some issues on the concurrent list, power and so on. Let's move it. Let's just be able to do the national resources and so we may not take that route. There are many ways to kill a rat, or how do they put it now? We can begin from here, okay? Yeah, well, hold on. we can begin from here. And what do I mean? Can the APC, as a party, the president is there and they have the majority in the Senate and House, can they now say that this is our chance to make Nigeria right? Can either the presidency or the governors forum or the APC governors forum prepare and sponsor a bill on the floor of the House? It is not just, flying a kite is one thing, but it is not enough to bring your case to Nigerians. Where it matters is where you are. And so can they prepare a bill saying that beginning from so and so time, we want to achieve X, Y, Z, and this is the bill on the floor of the Senate. Let Nigerians know who their enemies are.
Politics, not go into it.
No. You see, it is one.
I'm listening to you. You took over from me. I said,
sure.
I'm looking at the practicability, and I want to take it.
The point I'm going, this is my point. It is one thing for us to just talk about it and not take any step at all. Yeah. Another thing for us to bring this matter to the floor of the Senate and say, and let Nigerians know who is going to become the face of opposition. During the third term agenda as well, it was when the television camera went on the floor of the Senate and people saw that they were going to be seen on TV voting for that thing. They fled. And so, to even speak and not take action at all is a problem. But if we are bold enough to prepare a document and take it to the floor,
if we are bold enough
to take that step, I think from there the discussion can become different.
It would have been good. This will require all hands to be on deck. When I went through the research of trying to alter the Section 4 of the 1999 Constitution that actually created the National Assembly and everything, it will require a 4/5 in the Senate, a 4/5 majority in the House of Representatives, and it will take 24 or 36 states, House of Assembly, to actually go with this flow. Yeah. Now, how realistic is this? The process of even amending our constitution, altering anything in this rigid constitution, how to get it done?
See, my brother, I'm for constitutional amendment, but not for the purpose of reducing the number of senators in Nigeria. Constitutional amendment for the purpose of devolution of power. Okay? Fiscal federalism. You understand? To do it is very, very simple. He started with a very fine argument. If the APC as a political party is really, really serious about it, if the thing was not a 419 promise, as contained in the promises made to the electorates ahead of 2015 elections.
Oh, are you saying the
thing is, no, wait. See, it's very, very easy. It's very, very easy. See, you have members in the legislature. The thing will start from the party level. You understand now? I think a committee was put together at some point with El-Rufai and some other people there.
Yeah.
The report of that committee should have gone, it's not going to Mr. President, it should have gone to the National Assembly both in the House of Reps and the Senate. A member, a ranking member, should have turned the thing into a bill. You understand? And if the party had done its own work very well...
Hold your breath a little bit. Rahim is calling us from Osun State. Thank you for joining us, Rahim.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening, Rahim.
Well done.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, my contribution is, if they want to scrap one of the houses, I would have prefer House of Representatives so that it will remain Senate. Then you have few people, equal representation from each state. Thank you very much.
Okay. Rahim is saying he will prefer the House of Rep. That's 360 out, and we cannot decide the number of senators we have.
Sorry, you see,
that falls along with your own
yeah.
But let me just conclude what I was saying. The thing should have become a bill by now. The party itself, from its national secretariat, should have sensitized all the state chapters. There is no member of the House of Assembly that will not be a member of the party. There's no member of the House of Reps or Senate that will not be a member of the party.
If they have the way,
yes,
if they want to pull it through,
once they've done that,
actually get it through.
You only need bits and pieces here and there from PDP and maybe some other small parties that are there to, push the bill to become a law. End of story.
You know why I said the political angle to this story is this. Okay, you're talking about the senators because there'll be stakeholder meetings, it will be discussed, there'll be engagement and all that. And so you're talking, we are here now, and there are senators here too. In Nigeria that we know, if we want to be sincere to ourselves, you're telling me a senator, for instance, will sit down and say, okay, we're cool with it. So in the alternative, I see a situation whereby there'll be kind of give and take. Okay, we're going to give you this compensation here and there, and at the end of the day, who suffers for it? Still the people. I don't see this happening. We sit down here. I'm not convinced yet. I still talked about earlier about the practicability of it. The Senate today is stopping the chamber of the National Assembly, and then you come to them and said, okay, sorry, we're looking at this
possibility of scrapping.
So how we going? We said, hold on, and then they just buy into it. We have the state governor. All the senators you're seeing today, majority of them are being controlled by the state governors. So when I mean the practical, I want to hear how it's going to come from the state governor. In fact, some of them were governors before. Some of them are big. They are political juggernauts from their states. It's going to be tough. That's why I said I don't see it happening under the present political arrangement, under the present political system. That's the Nigeria that I'm seated right now. I don't see the practical. I don't know how it's going to work because we have seen a situation whereby, just as I said, just to touch the Constitution alone, just to amend a section, how are you going to go through and at the end of the day, it doesn't even occur. It dies naturally. We don't talk about it anymore. And then this one, for the governor for the governor of Ekiti to say, that's why we're even talking about. A lot of people have said it in the past, and nothing happened because it will not. Take my word to the bank. It won't happen in Nigeria of today. The political system, as constituted presently, cannot support it.
But you see,
let's just not waste more time.
Tony, it's gathering. The call is gathering momentum. If it happened in Senegal and Italy is doing it, Rocha Sokorocha was the one that started this agitation.
Rocha was the governor. Why did he push it? Why was governor?
This is the question. You see, the present structure won't let it happen, and yet it is the present structure that needs to change. So there's no need to kick the ball in another direction. For me, I will restate my position.
Hold your breath. Let me quickly take Benga. Benga is calling us from Niger State. I think Benga is gone.
See, and I will restate my position. The reality is that the ruling class, and while I made reference to that, people who are eating won't throw their pots of soup away. But that is not the issue. We wouldn't be the ones to sit here in Lagos and think for them. Fine. No, you just hold on. I won't sit back here and do the thinking for them. If you're going to confront this, then you confront it. There's no need to sit down. All the meetings, if they want to hold stakeholder meetings, if they want to take it to committee levels and discuss the party, stakeholders, the presidency, and so on, that is left to them. if we are making a case, if we're making an advocacy, let us make it clear, clean and clear, and make, you know, let's push it in, let's keep the discussion on, and let's continue to gather momentum. How they are going to make it happen is irrelevant to me. Whether they make it happen, even if the call remains for another 20 before we achieve it, it's fine. But we must continue to stay on the matter, because the fact is, the system won't allow it to change, and yet the system must change.
Now, some people will tell you that there's a kind of attempt to blackmail the legislature in Nigeria, that in 2018, the entire amount released or budgeted for the National Assembly was 137 billion naira. And they're saying, look at the way state governors are spending. They're saying, look at the way the executive are spending. I saw something on the social media recently. I saw a governor with 3 wives, and is attaching assistants, special assistant to the first wife, special assistant to the second wife, special assistant to the third wife. And they're saying that, why can't you even look at the excesses of the executive too?
Cut it down.
You see, you mentioned something the other time, that where is patriotism here? Whoever is patriotic in this country, if the person is not myopic, that person will agree that urgently Nigeria needs to be restructured. It's not a question of legislature blaming governors and so on. Like I mentioned earlier, those are symptoms, not the disease. We have a disease in this country. It has to do with our system. The system we are running currently is wrong, not just wrong, but very, very wrong. Until we change that system, things will continue. Because by even you cut down the number of senators, scrap the House of Reps, leave only senators there, the same thing will still be happening. Those who leave today, you buy brand new cars for those coming tomorrow. They will refurnish all of the office. Meanwhile, there's nothing wrong with the old office. Award fresh contract. Wait now. You give something, you budget Ministry of Education, they attach their own people there who do the job. The contracts you are giving out, they will attach their own people to those things. They are there to make money. In a proper system, it won't happen. Because if it should happen, immediately you are exposed and you'll be sent to jail. So the thing is that it is not just, you are just talking about their normal budget, which we are saying, but the other ones into which they put their hands at the ministry level, nobody's talking about that. And we're talking about billions here.
The ghost project.
Meanwhile, the same government argument continues on whether they can pay 30,000 minimum wage or not. So it's a systemic thing. Our system has failed, and we need to change it. We need to bring another one on board. We need to go back to where we were before, so that it will be easy for those at the grassroots. For economic reasons, you were talking about mass action. For economic reasons, in most places, mass action cannot happen. Because those who you want to move against, they have more money than you, the organizers of the mass action. By the time they will throw money out to the masses you are trying to defend, the masses will descend on you. That's just it.
Turn again.
All right. When an elder stumbles, he must look back to evaluate what led to his downfall. This appears to be the message of the Katsina State Governor, Aminu Bello Masari, to the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC, in the face of its misfortunes during the 2019 general election. Governor Masari, who is the chairman of the steering committee of APC on legislative matters, blamed the leadership for the crisis that made the party to lose some of the states under its control. He warned that the absence of coordination among the party chieftains could destroy the APC. Tony, APC lost Benue State. APC lost Benue State. They lost Borno State. They lost Bauchi State. They lost Adamawa State. They lost Zamfara State.
Technically,
you know, and
even in Rivers they couldn't contest for election.
Do you understand? Yes. Due to in-house crisis and everything. Yes. So, Right Honorable Aminu Bello Masari is now saying that, look, if those things that led to their failure in 2019 election, if those things are not properly looked at, that there might be crisis in the ruling party.
Yes, and I remember here on this forum, the issue when the crisis started in Kogi State. We talked about it here, and when stakeholders in the state, were speaking against the coming back of the incumbent. And then the party was like, we're going ahead. And that's what is going on in the state today. I watched the governor of Katsina State the other day on TV when he was lamenting. And I said to myself, it's like nothing has changed. Yeah, nothing has changed, really. And if a governor of Katsina State, the president home state, is saying this, then that tells you that there's something fundamentally wrong in that party that needs to be checked quickly. Otherwise, when you think 2023 is far, they are preparing already for it. That tells you it's just like tomorrow for a politician. Then if they want to win, if they want to make an inroad into 2020, you know, if they want to make progress or win an election in the coming presidential, they have to start right now. Because this is not the first time. The governor has spoken, and as we speak, as we're talking about it, I've not seen anybody from APC, the chairman of APC or the NWC of the party talk, you know, like making reference to it. So it's like, after lamenting, you can go to bed. And it won't all go well for the party. The people who constitute the party, who runs the party, who runs this party in the states are not carried along. People go to, once you're a minister today, it means you can challenge your governor. And the party think it's okay. I take Imo, for instance. Richard is tired. He's not even talking anymore. He has said many times that the party has abandoned him. It shouldn't be so. It shouldn't be so. Even when the other guy, keeps coming close all the time, going to hitting his family and all that, and the party is so cool. And I don't see how the party is going to go into that state in the next election. They can't. I don't see how they're going to win anything from that state. So these are the issues. I see Oshomole. I think the other day, the governor, the guy running against, the guy running the APC flag bearer in Bayelsa State. He took the guy to see the president about 2 days ago, and I was looking at the picture and I'm trying to see what is going on Oshomole's, the chairman of APC's head. Mm-hmm. Like, what is he thinking? I'm waiting for him to address the issue in Katsina. Going to a week now, I've not heard anybody from the national headquarters of APC speaking about it. It's like, it's okay, go ahead, anything can happen. And you cannot, if you think you can challenge the governors to a bout. He was once a governor, of course. Edo State is there, it's still boiling. And the governor, the incumbent governor is still, in the ring with him. Okay. So I think,
Wale, you're an insider.
If the NWC of the AC works, okay, Wale is even...
It's a family affair. Maybe
you can speak from inside point of view.
I'm not an insider. No, there's something you mentioned, which I took careful note of, that coming from the governor of the president's home state, for me, it's like passing a message. I'm not sure with time, maybe with the backing of Lagos, it might be a bit tough. But I don't see Oshomole lasting long as a national chairman of the party. I could be wrong. But coming from Masari, but the reality put everything on the table. Is it only Oshomole that didn't get it right? Let me cite the example of my own state. In Ogun State, the former governor there was behaving as if he was far, over and above the party. And Mr. President was even there, live, where he was stoned, where the party was disgraced, yet nothing happened. Somewhere along the line too, to me, the former governor was eventually rewarded because his supporters were given ministerial positions. Yeah. In a way, the president is saying that he was right and the national secretariat of the party was wrong. So if Masari is objective enough in what he said, it is not just a question of talking down on the national secretariat of the party. The presidency is also involved. So that's why I said, see there's a game going on there.
Let's take this call. Victor is calling us from Lagos. Thank you for joining us, Victor.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead with your contribution, Victor.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Ayo, good evening to Tony and everyone in the house. I actually want to comment on just the last topic.
Okay.
Regarding cutting off the Senate and all of that. What I could tell is, from what Richard said and also what Mr. Fayemi said, is about generating response, because the country is actually going through retrogression. We are retrogressing instead of making movement. So what I found out is, I think it was Anambra State recently, they wanted to get a vehicle for them, the State House of Assembly, and they said no, they want innocent. So what I'm trying to say is, if there's everything boils down to restructuring, the Senate cannot be scrapped. There's always going to be, the law is there, they want to make the law, so it can't happen. So the best thing to do is change the structure. So what I'm looking at is, us going back to, constitutional amendment. We have to amend the Constitution. If we do not amend the Constitution, there's nothing in it that's going to happen. So imagine if we amended the Constitution, every state do not consume what is not from your state. If you're a state governor, every car that you have to buy for the state executive has to be from your state.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you for your contribution. We are learning. So,
like I was saying, the thing is, it's not just a question of the National Secretariat of APC alone, because whether you like it or not, the presidency also has his own
part in the problem.
Yes, his own part to play in this thing. But above all, it is important the APC close ranks ahead of 2023, which is not likely soon, because jostling for the presidential slots too is about to start, and the governors will play the governors will play a major role in that, not just the presidency alone or even the National Secretariat. And whether anybody likes it or not, I don't think there can be direct orders, so to say, from the presidency, except those governors aligned with them there in Abuja. If they don't align with them, the governors have, to me, a bigger role to play in the choice of whoever is coming on board.
Finally,
but if they are not careful, the negative thing coming to will affect the governors as well.
Some people are saying, if you just remove the Say Baba factor from APC, that APC will be in that it's as if the president.
That's the adhesive.
The president is like the stabilizing factor, or that the president is not going to be on the next ballot in 2023. So at least we are sure of that it's not going to be there. So it will be difficult for APC to survive without.
Well, I'm not a party member, so I'm at liberty to.
Why are you emphasizing that?
Yes, because I have to. I mean, if that disappoints those who are party loyalists, it's a pity. But that looks very, very true. That is one. Number two is the fact that they have a litmus in Bayelsa and Kogi states. If you look at Nigerian political parties, I think it's a common virus that affects them. When they win election and they consolidate, they begin to lose focus. Interests begin to. It happened with the PDP. At the point they said they won't vote again, that they will be doing affirmative. I mean, who does that? So the APC is having that same problem. Some days ago, you heard about complaints. We have state party chairman said that after they worked hard for the party to win the election in Abuja, they've been left in the cold. There are people who work for the party are not getting judicial appointments in Abuja. That is a matter of concern. Clearly, the issue is that there's a lot of disaffection within the ranks. In Adamawa State, for instance, what the party did was to bring Boss Mustafa and the minister of the, former minister of current minister of the FCT and one other person and say, form a tripartite chairmanship of the party in the state, pending when, so there are issues clearly. And these fractures must be taken, must be treated, each of them on their own merit and in time. Okay. Because you cannot go into battle with divided house. All right. It won't happen.
It's still a long way to 2023, but for politicians, it's very close. I want to thank you, Tony Waje, for being part of the show today. Wale Adedayo, thank you. And Cyril Abako, thank you for your contribution.
My pleasure.
And that's all on Journalists Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another interesting episode of the program. You can also watch Journalists Hangout on our platforms showing on the screen. We're also on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalists Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Uzubako. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.